What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Yours truly, Kendrick here, back again with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Episode 8. Yeah, episode 8 of Conversations with yours truly, Kendrick McKnight, man. And my next guest, someone that I had a pleasure of meeting, you know what I'm saying? Um, a former co-worker, and you guys are gonna get to know her a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, yours truly, Miss Selena Duran. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Uh, man, how was your day before this?
It was pretty good. The weekend, the weekend was kind of crazy, but today was Sunday, so today was a chill day for me.
I think Sunday is always like chill day
Yeah.
for sure. What's your favorite thing to do outside of work to just relax?
Um, Honestly, I'm still getting used to the area. I'm coming from Johnston County, a small town, and I've just moved an hour away to Raleigh, and there's a lot more to do up here, but I've still been trying to get settled in. But I really enjoy going to like local owned businesses like coffee shops, thrift shopping. I go to the gym sometimes. But yeah, I honestly, my work is so kind of crazy. When I have some time off, I don't mind just chilling at the house, really.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, man. Like, what's your go-to coffee drink?
Oh, that's a tough one because like I used to be a barista, so I would like kind of make my own thing. But here lately I've been getting like a latte, like an iced one with like oat milk, and I'll try like a different flavor each time. The latest one I've tried was lavender. I know it sounds pretty weird, but I thought it was pretty good.
Hmm. Mine is do you remember mine that I told you?
Um, you might have. I have a horrible memory.
No, it's I don't drink coffee that much because like I'm real big on like my face as far as like, you know, bumps and stuff like that. So my go-to is like definitely a caramel frappuccino.
That's
And
for
when
one, that's not coffee.
what is it? Caffeine? It's still
Yeah,
caffeine, right?
it's a little bit, baby, but I just like to joke on people who get fraps because, like, working at Starbucks, that was like the most annoying thing to make.
Oh yeah, that's like popular.
Yeah,
But during my time in school, I'll flip-flop between that or a caramel macchiato.
yeah, those are good.
Yeah, definitely. What do you what do you outside of that, what do you hate most making outside of frappuccinos?
Coffee drinks. Let me see. Honestly, nothing really. Like when I worked at Starbucks, like I loved making the drinks. Like to me, it was fun. I was good at it. I was fast. So there was nothing really that I mind making so much, honestly.
Okay, nice. What about the gym? You lift or you just do cardio?
I mainly do cardio. I've tried to venture out a little bit, but if I go with somebody and they're more experienced, I'll, try different things. But if I'm just going by myself, I normally stick to cardio.
Treadmill?
Treadmill, elliptical, stair stepper, sometimes the bike, but just stuff like that.
Okay. I just now am getting back into going to the gym. I don't think I told
Yeah,
you why. Did I tell you
no,
why?
no.
Okay. I had gotten surgery back in November,
Oh, wow.
and I mean we can get into it later, but it took a toll on me, and I had to take away the gym for a while. And even now,
Oh,
it's like maybe twice, 3 times a week now versus the 6 that I did before. So, uh, But yeah, it's even now as I'm still careful, but it's it's just great to be back because it took me a while to come back, maybe like a solid 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but talk to me about you, man. What was your childhood like? Where were you born and raised at? You said Johnson County, right?
Yeah, so I'm from Johnston County. My mom had me at 17 years old, so she was a teen mom. And I have an older sister and I have two younger brothers. Um, yeah, I'm from Johnston County. My childhood was kind of like, not to say crazy, but maybe a little bit hectic. Just from, having a mom who was younger. And then I know now, like being grown, we have a good relationship. And I know now that she did the best that she could. But just like my dad wasn't around, my real dad, I recently got back in contact with him, but he remarried and had kids by his new wife, and I didn't see him. The last time I seen him, I was like 8 years old, and then I didn't see him again until I was 18. So being a kid, you don't really understand that, you know what I mean? It made me feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? So I
Yeah.
didn't have my real dad in the picture growing up. My mom was remarried, and I had a stepdad. He did raise me and was a part of my life since I was 6 years old, but he kind of struggled with addiction, so that definitely played a role in my life. Growing up, I just remember, certain things. And then with their marriage, kind of being like unhappy, and it just kind of made the whole household, you could say, tense at times. But
Mhm.
I had a very good relationship with my mom's mother, which would be my grandma. I called her Meemaw. We were really close, and I spent most weekends growing up at her house. She passed away my senior year of high school. That was really hard for me, but I had a really great relationship with her, and I spent weekends at her house. And then I have cousins, and we would all go over there and spend weekends at Mima's house. So stuff like that, I definitely have good memories with growing up. But like there's always good and bad, but it wasn't all negative.
Well, that's a great thing. It's life isn't a box of chocolates. You know what I'm saying? Like
No,
it's just, you're gonna have your good days and your bad days. You just gotta remember, you know, the goal as far as like what you want to do. But
absolutely.
how did that make you feel though, growing up? Your dad was in and out, but at the same time you had
Um,
this other father figure.
Yeah, so it honestly it bothered me a lot, because being a child, I did not understand. I just seen him, and then didn't see him, and then knew that he was remarried and had kids and had a family, and that was very hurtful because it kind of made me feel like, what's wrong with me? And I always wanted that father-daughter relationship growing up, and I didn't ever have that. And then you grow into an adult and you think, well, I don't need it anymore because I'm grown now. But I didn't really realize how much it affected me until I got older, and like relationships that I was in and different things like that. Like, you need your dad always, and just like you need your mom, like you have different relationships with both of them. So it really did affect me a lot. And my stepdad was a part of my life, and I have great memories with him as well. They're not all negative, but unfortunately, he does struggle with addiction. So at some point, those good memories kind of start turning into bad ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you, all these years later, do you still, I guess, resent your dad for doing that, or have you just like
Um, so
water under the bridge?
actually, I forgave him. And it was hard, like, because for a while I didn't understand. Even when we reconnected, I still didn't understand.
Mhm.
And I came to terms with I don't think I will ever understand, and some things are not meant for you to understand. Um, but I chose to forgive him and reconnect our relationship. And things are better between us now. You know, you can never go back and make up for all of that missed time, but you can choose to move forward and build a relationship at this point. So that's what I chose to do.
Well, that's a great thing for sure.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, you know, me and my dad, we had a solid relationship, I would say. Um, he wasn't, you know, in the house because he had his own family. I had a stepmom and my sister, stepbrothers, but I, I still did what I could for him, what I'm saying,
Right.
calling, texting. But the thing is, I didn't do it as much as I wanted to or should have.
Yeah.
And that kind of got to me whenever it was his time to go. And then, it still kind of haunts me still to this day.
Yeah.
And it's something that even after 10 years, I don't think I'm there yet to forgive myself for that. And
Yeah,
I don't
I've come
think
to realize it's really
I
hard
don't think
to
I
forgive.
will.
It's really hard to forgive yourself, and it's so easily to forgive others who have hurt you. But to me, it feels so much harder to forgive yourself for, things that you've done. So I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And I try to be open-minded to everybody's situation, but due to the fact that I don't have a dad physically here anymore, I try to tell people to just like squash that stuff and just appreciate your mom and your dad because you only got one.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and once they're gone, they're gone. And I, for one, know what that's like. So I try to be positive to people's dark clouds when it comes to their parents, for sure.
Right.
Um, what was childhood like in a sense of, school, primary, middle school? What kind of student were you?
So I grew up actually like in elementary school, we lived in Wake County, and then
Hmm.
it was primarily a white school. And then when I moved to Johnston County in about middle school, it was mostly Hispanic and blacks, and I was the new kid, and nobody knew me, and I was coming into like sixth grade, and when you're kind of like a preteen, you're awkward. It's like we had to wear uniforms, and I had this short hair, and I was just at an awkward stage in my life, and I was coming in new, and I experienced like some bullying. And I never said anything or stood up for myself until one day I decided that no, you're not going to talk to me like that. And I got in my first fight when I was like in sixth grade in middle school. But after that, everyone was nice and I made friends.
Yeah, because you stood up for yourself. Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Yeah,
That's I guess you can say that's the sacrifice of just sometimes doing what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? You
yeah,
you you don't technically have to have people that like you, but it's all about respect for
right.
sure. You know what I'm saying? For me, I was like the total opposite. I was a little savage back in the day. You know, I don't know why. I was just like I didn't really care for school like that. I
Yeah.
was like, what kindergartner do you know get suspended? Me. Yeah, I don't even know. But after a while, I got straightened out. You know what I'm saying? High school is what kind of settled me for sure. What was high school like for you? What was that transition from primary, middle school, and now it's like, okay, we're in there with
Um,
the big boys.
so honestly, high school for me, so like growing up, like I told you, my mom had me young. She was not strict on me at all. I had an older sister who was 4 years older than me, and I was just exposed to a lot early on. So by the time I hit high school, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was hanging around all the wrong people, I was partying. If I didn't want to go to school, I didn't go to school. So my senior year, because we were living in Selma and I was going to Triple S, that was a really bad school. Um, my senior year, my mom moved to Kinley, and I had the option to stay with my sister in Smithfield and finish school at Triple S, or move my senior year of high school and start at a brand new school in Kinley. But me being me, I knew that if I would have stayed with my sister, I would have not finished school. So I chose to move with my mom and finish high school at a new school. And it was good. I mean, nothing to I think
Yeah,
honestly that was the best thing for me, was kind of to get away from that environment.
definitely. What was that, you know, what kind of led to you doing that as far as like getting into drinking and smoking and having that party life? What kind of led to that?
um so like I said, I had an older sister. So I started like drinking alcohol and smoking weed probably at like 13 years old. My sister's 4 years older than me. She was like in high school at this time. She was going through her little party phase, and I would just hang out with her and her friends. And my mom wasn't really strict on me. So, if you're at that age and your parent isn't telling you, no, you can't do that, then of course
Yeah,
you're gonna do all of the things because you're interested by it. So yeah, I started doing like drinking and smoking probably when I was like 13. I was like probably in eighth grade. Um, I was just hanging around the wrong people and not really having much guidance.
yeah. Just one of those things where you're just curious or you're just being a follower at that time.
Um, I don't know, from early on, I always felt like, and I guess this is leading up to me being undiagnosed bipolar, and then also just having some mental problems for early on from a young age. I don't know if it was from like my childhood with my dad being absent and my mom being, she was there, but she wasn't at the same time, if that makes sense. Like she was not really a hands-on parent. So I kind of always felt like I was not loved, I guess. And I always wanted to feel like I needed to fill a void to find something to make
Mm,
me happy. So when I started, hanging out, going out with these people, using these substances, they made me feel good, you know?
mhm. What was your relationship like with your, you say you have three siblings, right? Your older sister and two brothers.
Yes.
What was your relationship with them growing up and now?
Okay, so growing up, me and my sister, we did not get along and we were not close, but it wasn't until I was 13 years old. She got pregnant. She was 17. She got pregnant with my nephew. And after she had the baby and kind of grew up, we became very close, and I was close with my nephew. So that really brought our relationship together. And then me and my brothers, we used to fight like cats and dogs. That sibling thing. The older sister, they're my annoying younger brothers. So we used to fight like cats and dogs. But now with them being a little bit older and I'm older, we actually have a really close and great relationship. Over the years, they have really seen me through like some of the darkest times of my life, and they've been like the most supportive people for me in my life. So I would say our relationship is really great now.
Mm, that's a great thing. It's a great thing for sure. Like for me, did I tell you how many siblings I have?
I'm sure you have, but I'm sure I
Again, your
have lost.
memory just
Yes.
went away. Okay, so like I have six siblings altogether, if you count my two stepbrothers.
Okay.
Um, I am the oldest on my mom's side. I have two younger brothers. And then on my dad's side, I'm the middle child. I have my older brother and my only sister. So it's kind of crazy because what's even crazier is that literally all of us have J middle names, and that wasn't
Mhm.
even
Well,
planned. Like it just happened. So
yeah, that's kind of
it, it,
crazy.
it yeah, there's this like unspoken rule that, you know, if you have kids, your the middle name has to be just start with a J. So my brother has two kids now, and of course their middle names is J. So I guess I got to continue that whenever it's my time. But outside of that, I mean, my relationship with my sister, my brother, my older brother could be better. Um, we still communicate, but it could be a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Especially
Right.
after our dad passing away. But it kind of pushed all of us away in our own ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because his death affected all of us differently.
Right.
Um, for me personally, it just put me into this like shell where I don't want to be bothered by anyone
Yeah.
because my Superman is gone and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, and for him to pass when I was so young, 16, you're still trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know what direction to turn. But my brothers, as far as my younger ones, I'm really close to. I'm very overprotective over them, especially the younger one. That's my guy for sure. So like, what would you say when you first started, your abuse, I guess you can say, right? Or your addiction, whatever you want to say. How did that make you feel um before, during, and even after the effects of it?
Okay, so like growing up, I didn't really realize I was so young. Like I didn't really realize that what I was doing was a problem. Because I'm like, you're young, everyone experiments and parties, and I still graduated school, I still worked. And then eventually I grew out of it. I, got into a relationship when I was 19 years old and I dated this person for 3 years. And they made me really calm down a lot. And I was living a normal life. And but during that time with those 3 years when I wasn't doing anything, um, I really, and this was before I was undiagnosed bipolar, I just still had that feeling like something's missing. I don't feel happy. I ended breaking things off, with that person. Not that they did anything wrong, but we were just so young and I felt like we were going different directions in life. So when I left him, at 21 years old, that is when I met my ex. And that's when all of the heavy drug usage started, because he was nothing like my first relationship and he was older and it was exciting. And in the beginning, I was not using drugs. I actually didn't know that they were using drugs, they hid it from me. And then it came to a point after a while, being the only one caring in the relationship, and we were living together, and they were, in my face using every day. It just kind of got to a point where, like, I want to see what is so special about this that you don't care about anything. So that's when the heavy drug usage started. So during, I guess that addict in me, I was very much so in denial. I can stop whenever I want to. This is not a problem. And then it was obviously a problem because all of these things in my life were going wrong, and it was all because of my addiction. Like, it was just, it kept getting worse and worse and worse. So it just eventually got to a point where it was, I guess, that rock bottom for me. And it kind of, sometimes, unfortunately, it takes something really bad happening sometimes in your life for you to kind of wake up and realize, what am I doing?
Yeah. What was your your drug of choice?
So I was using heroin in the beginning. That's what they were using. I was using heroin, and then one thing led to another, and it got to a point where it was like I was really just using anything I could get my hands on to get high. Heroin, crack, fentanyl, meth. It just got to a point where it was, like I said, really anything.
How did your addiction affect your family once they found out?
So was um I was with my ex in my addiction, and we were living in Clayton. We had an apartment, but obviously, when we both were using so heavily and were strung out on drugs, we could not maintain an apartment. We lost our place to live. Then we moved to Rocky Mount to be with his dad. That's where he was from. So I was at this time in my life away from my family, um,
Hmm.
because I was with him, and I was also embarrassed, and I was trying to keep my drug use a secret. But obviously, you can't do that for very long. So once they kind of found out what I was doing, it wasn't obviously by any means good. Everyone, wanted me to get help, and I wasn't ready. So the relationship with my family while I was using was pretty, I didn't see them. Um, and when I did, I was not a very good version of myself. So I wasn't really the nicest or pleasant person to be around. But my mom always told me, she never enabled me. I never stayed with her. We didn't really talk when I was using drugs, but she told me if I ever want to do right and, get myself together, I'll always have a place to come home to. So I'm very, very grateful that I had that chance, when I did decide I wanted to do something different, that I had that support from my family.
That's a that's an amazing thing to still have that support for them because I'm sure there's some family members for some addicts where they don't want nothing to do with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because of whatever uh, situation that is, but for them to still be there for you, that spoke volumes. I'm pretty sure for you.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I don't think I could have done it without their support. So I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. Do you think, looking back on it, do you think you would have gone through that if you didn't meet your ex?
So, I've felt like that before, and other people have asked me, and I always struggled, with that addictive personality. If I found something I liked, I loved it, and I would always take it to that next level. So, although before I wasn't, out here doing hard drugs, I can't really say that it was just necessarily, I can't put all of the blame on him, because at some point I have to take accountability for my actions as well and the role that I played a part in. So no, I don't think if I had met him, I would, I would, took that path and was, using hard drugs. But who knows, really? Life is so unpredictable. If it wasn't him that I met, it could have been someone else.
Mhm. Are you a can you be a forgiving person?
Yeah. When I got clean, um, it was very, very hard in the beginning. I was very miserable, if I'm telling the truth. I was
Yeah,
mad at everyone, myself, the world. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't getting high anymore either. And once I just continued to stick to my sobriety, I realized I was like, I can't live like this. I have so many reasons to be grateful. I've been given the second chance at life. I have to move on with my life and forgive people in order to move on. And when I found God and learned about forgiveness, I was married to my ex. We got married when I was 22, divorced by 24. So um, when we got out of jail, I he decided he was still doing the same old things. I decided like, no, I'm done. I cut contact with him completely. I moved back home, but I had to reach back out to him during this time of my early sobriety so he could sign our divorce papers so I could get a new start at life and put all of this stuff behind me. And he had me meet him one day in Raleigh at a random gas station, and I'm calling him like, "Where are you at?" So we can sign these papers, get it over with. And when he got into the car with me, and I just seen the state that he was in, regardless of everything, our past history, it was hard, and they were crying and they said, for what it's worth, I really am sorry about all of this. I didn't, it was never my intentions. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve any of this. And at that moment, I I chose to forgive them, and not for them, but for myself in order to move on with my life. So I will say I do have forgiveness in it. I can forgive people regardless if they have hurt me.
see, that's still tough for me. I'm not I'm not there yet as far as like forgiving people for like hurting me or just like breaking my heart in any type of sense, as far as like
Right.
relationships or
Yeah.
um I guess you could say friends or associates, people that I thought that was really
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
Um, I'm not there yet as far as like wiping the slate clean, you know, and just being like, you go your way, I go mine. You know what I mean? I'm real big at not forgetting though.
Yeah.
Like I would
I've
never.
seen this
Mm,
thing one time, and it says normalize forgiving people in silence and never speaking to them again. So just because you forgive someone doesn't
yeah,
mean that they have to have access to your life ever again. You know what I mean? So of course I can forgive people and move on with my life, but that doesn't mean I have anything left for them anymore. It's just I choose to forgive them and go on with my life.
definitely. Do you believe in second chances for
In
any
what
situation?
aspect?
Any
In any
situation, friends, relationships?
um yes and no, because I don't want to say that people don't change. But I will say it is hard for me to I can forgive, but it's hard for me to forget, for sure. So
Yeah,
I can give people second chances, but to me it will never be the same once you break my trust.
yeah. That's like the top thing for me for any situation. Like that T word is it's a big T word. Trust is like everything for me. If I don't
Yeah,
have trust with you, it's just I don't see a point of us even having a conversation for
right.
real. What was that moment like for you as far as like, okay, enough is enough. I think I need to get my stuff together.
So addiction, the way it works is like you have all of these bad things happening and nobody can make you want to get your life together and get clean. You have to want it. And
Hmm.
all of these horrible things were happening in my life. And I had overdosed several times, but I just honestly wasn't ready to stop. We made it a joke, me and my ex, like, oh, it's a good week. Selena hasn't fell out yet. Like honestly, I don't know how I'm still alive, and I'm really so blessed. I don't know how many times I've overdosed and had to be brought back with Narcan. But the last time was enough to scare me, and kind of make me think, well, I don't ever want to feel like this again in my life. I was living in a tent, in the woods. We had been kicked out of everywhere, living in cars, staying with people, hotels. And then it got to the point where we were staying in a tent. And I had a warrant, for my arrest because I was supposed to be on probation and I couldn't get clean and I was failing my drug test. Um, I had a warrant. I was in a tent and I'd wake up every day sick, have to do drugs to get right, and then figure out how I'm going to get money to chase that high all day long so I can feel, okay. I woke up and, trigger warning for whoever may be watching this. I was using fentanyl, intravenously, but I don't like needles, and my ex used needles, and he would shoot me up. It's kind of like a control thing he had over me. Like he would hold the drugs, leave me sick. I'd have to ask him for it, and he would give it to me, whatever. I woke up that morning sick, and he gave me some, and I just remember instantly feeling like, oh no, I messed up. That was way too much. And in times in the past when I had overdosed, it kind of all happened so quickly. It was just kind of like I did it and kind of went to sleep, and it was like dark, and I don't remember anything. And then I remember, waking back up and being like mad, like, oh, I'm not high anymore. Why did y'all Narcan me? Like that's how sick I was. But this time it was different. I fell out, and I was out for so long. I was Narcan several times. They were not working. And then I remember everything being white. And I had an overwhelming sense of peace. Like it was like an out of body experience. Like I seen myself laying there. And then it was just like something told me it wasn't my time yet. And I remember setting up and gasping for air. And when I set up and gasped for air and woke back up and became conscious again, I was so sick. My body was seizing. I was throwing up bile because I hadn't eaten in days. And it was honestly one of the lowest moments of my life, and it was terrifying. It really did scare me that time because when you're Narcan, it rips all of those opioids that are in your body to make you feel good. It rips them right all out of you, and you're sick. You're very, very sick. And I just remember being so scared and in so much pain. I finally passed out after a while of that craziness and being so sick. And when I woke up, the police were out there in the woods and they were trespassing all of us. And they're like, y'all have to go. Y'all can't be out here. And in that moment, I just, I was just like, I can't keep doing this. I'm tired. I'm so sick. I have nowhere to go. So I chose to turn myself in, to jail. And I was just kind of, I threw my hands up and I was like, I'm done. I'm tired. And I chose to turn myself into jail. And honestly, going to jail saved my life.
How's that?
Jail.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not fun. Don't recommend. But honestly, I was exposed to so much chaos during my addiction, and I was, living in tents and staying in crappy motels and being around all different kinds of people. Going to jail, honestly, it was a big wake up call. Like jail was not fun by any means, but it was honestly where I needed to be. And going to jail it made me realize that I could sit down and think for a moment and I wasn't under the influence. I wasn't, with my ex. I could think clearly and I could think for myself again. So it wasn't a good experience by any means, but I know that that's what needed to happen. And after I made it out, like it made me realize like I don't ever want to come back here and I won't ever come back here again, and most people
Mhm.
that say that they do go back and they're like they're waiting on you to fail. They're like, okay, we'll see you again. And I'm like, no, you're not gonna see me again because like I'm not, and I was serious, like I'm not going back there.
Well, would you say, looking back on it, that's probably like the best thing that happened to you, going to jail?
Yeah, because I will say it absolutely saved my life. Um, it really did. And in the moment, in the time, I was so scared and I didn't know what to do. And I just know if I would have not turned myself in that day and I would have kept running and using, I would have ended up either dead or in even more trouble than I was. So turning
Yeah.
myself in, it definitely did save me, and I'm so glad that that's what I chose to do and do the right thing and not continue to live how I was living.
Well, that's a great thing, and you're like your true blessing, honestly, just to be here for sure.
Yeah, I sometimes
And
think about it and it's like insane.
what would you say was your just like craziest OD? Like, how am I even still alive after that one?
Well, honestly, the last one, I watched a documentary on Netflix and it was people talking about their near death experiences and people that were pronounced dead and what they experienced. And a lot of people said the same thing. They had an out of body experience. They seen white. They felt peace. And that means I was like honestly not here. Like I was about to leave, like and not come back. So honestly, that was probably this crazy. I wouldn't say crazy, but like definitely the most scariest ones because like I said, all of the other times before, I would wake up and be mad and like, be not grateful that I was alive. Like I remember one time being so sick in my addiction, I was about to get high and I told the people that I was using with, I said, if I fall out, just don't even bother narking in me. And they were like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm being serious. Like it got to a point for me, like I didn't want to keep getting high, but I didn't want to live without getting high either. And I just really seen no way out. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. So like all this time later, at this current moment, how do you cope now? Being a former.
Okay, so I know everyone's recovery is different, but for me personally, I had to do a lot of soul searching and really, really work on myself a lot because May will be 2 years that I have been clean now. And in the beginning, I was clean, but I was also so miserable. And I wasn't getting high anymore, but I wasn't happy. Um,
Hmm.
it took a lot of growth from me and keeping myself busy and surrounding myself with positive people and cutting negative people out of my life and working and just having that support. So I cope in different ways. Now it's to a point where like I feel okay. It's not something like, early on it's something that I would think about and I'm like, gosh, is this ever gonna get better, and people are like,
Hmm.
it'll get better, but when you're going through it, it's so annoying to hear, like, shut up, you don't know what I'm going through. But if you honestly can just stick to it and keep doing the right thing and you keep trying despite how hard it is, it truly does get better.
Yeah, most definitely. Like you said earlier, like everybody's different. Everybody has their own I guess perspective and ways of doing things. But the main thing is like just being positive and just like going further um just the best way possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I honestly too think that the kind of work that I do, it helps me a lot because I love to help people, and I just remember feeling how I felt in my addiction, and I just really wish that there would have been someone to help me, you know. So doing the kind of work that I do, I'm very grateful and feeling like I can use my voice that what I went through to help someone else. It helps me tremendously. Like other people think that I might be helping them, but I'm really
Hmm.
helping myself as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, we're gonna circle back as far as like your, relationships and stuff like that. But, you're getting yourself clean and you want to get like an honest type of living, right?
Mm.
And, just for the people to know, like I said, you are a former coworker. So like what was that, you know, process like of, you're just getting started on this journey and what was your choices of places to work?
What do you mean?
Like, you're getting yourself clean.
Uh-huh.
Now you want to actually work and get like an honest
Okay.
way of living.
Yeah,
What was that process like?
it sucked for a little while, but I I knew that I had to do something and I knew that I had to keep busy to keep
Yeah,
my mind busy. So early in my recovery, I worked in the morning at a coffee shop and I'd go in there at like 5:30 in the morning till like 2 in the afternoon. I'd go home and change, rest for like an hour, and then I, would go into the restaurant and would wait tables and most of the time close and then wake up and do it all over again. So in the beginning, it was really hard. I was working two jobs. I was trying to navigate life being clean. And I was emotional. I was emotional as hell because for the first time in years, I'm navigating life and I don't have a mind altering substance to deal with the things that normal people deal with. So it was
mhm,
really, really hard in the beginning. Working two jobs, being broke, trying to save money, and then also trying to, get back everything that I lost. So I struggled a lot in the beginning and until I just found something else better that worked for me, and then I went off to work just one job, and I was working at Chipotle as a kitchen manager for a little while, and that was a good job for me for the time being, and then that's when I got the job that I have now and got certified with the state in peer support. So in the
yeah,
beginning, it was hard, and I worked crappy jobs, and I didn't make good money, and it sucked. But
yeah,
honestly, the way that I think of things is a job, you know. You don't ever let anyone tell you any different. It doesn't matter if you're at McDonald's flipping a burger, you're getting a bag, okay? Like you
yeah,
do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And that's what I did.
yeah, and that's the right attitude to have. And for me, I'm a very passionate, extremely passionate person based off the things that I want to do in life.
Right.
But in order to do that, sometimes you have to do what you need to do in order to get that,
Right.
get to that pinpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like my jobs are pretty much like survival jobs.
Yeah.
It's not something that I dreamt of doing. It's not something that I've uh, grew up wanting to do, but it's something that I have to do in order to pay this bill, pay that bill, or there's this concert that I want to go here, so I have to work to get to that point.
Yeah.
Or so on and so forth. So I trust me, I get that. And due to me being so passionate, I tend to be very hard on myself, extremely hard on myself as far as like, man, like is my dreams just that dreams? Will I ever get to that point? Will I ever reach that mountaintop? Which are like questions that I ask myself every day.
Right.
Um, but you know, being able to just like pray to the man above, knowing that everything's not gonna go your way, it's his way.
Absolutely.
Uh, it's just like your time is coming. You just got to do what you got to do now to ultimately get to that point. Um, do you remember when you met me?
I do, yeah.
What was that? Tell your side of that, then I'll tell you mine
Okay,
if you can remember.
yeah, no, I remember it was my first day at Bob Evans and
Yeah,
and the host was, taking me back to the restaurant, getting me introduced to everyone, showing me where everything's at. And I remember seeing you and you were in the back and we kind of like looked at each other. And when I walked back up to the front, I asked her, I said, who was that? And she told me your name. And then she later came up to me and she's like, oh, well, I think he, kind of asked about you too. And I was like, oh, really? But
yeah,
yeah, I just remember seeing you, and there was attraction there. So I was like, I was interested. I was like, who is that?
yeah. So like for me personally, um, I was just literally getting out of I guess you could say a situationship, you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
God.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So like just getting out of that. And at that point I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm done with like um situationships and just like do my own thing right now, just work, you know, save money, do whatever. Because
Right.
I was just getting started to do my online program. So like I'm just gonna focus on this for the upcoming boom. And that lasted literally a week because I remember it was a Saturday and it was a normal Saturday at Bob. I was doing dishes and occasionally, there's like little openings to see what's going on out in front. And I look and I see the host training you. But that's
Mm,
like normal. Like, oh, she's always training somebody that normally
right.
don't last long. So it's like we'll see, you know what I'm saying? But like y'all were just moving, you know, very steady. So like I couldn't really see a good look of your face. And I wasn't really worried about it because sooner or later I'm gonna have to see you because you're gonna have to see, take you out during the back, see whatever you gotta do. And, I finally see you. I was like, oh shit, okay. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. Um, now I'm up for like a little toss-up situation. Do I continue doing what I said and just worry about me right now, or take my chance here? Um, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. I'm not sweating it right now. You know what I'm saying? Then I saw you again because I think you were handing me something for do you remember the for the utensils, the little crate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you handed me that because you didn't know where to put it. I was like, I got you. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? That can wait. You know what I mean? That to yourself thing that can go. And I did something very out of character for me. And normally I just don't say anything. I just be shy. Don't say anything. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I did go to her when she was by herself. Like, what's her name? What's going on? How old is she? What's her situation right now? You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, and what I was gonna do was, again, very out of character. I wrote my number down on some type of paper, and my plan was to just like when it's my time, hope that you're still there when it's my time to leave, and
Yeah.
just slip you the number and just bounce. That was the plan. And I remember because clearly she told you about that, and there was a call for make salad because obviously I'm in the back. You know, I do dishes and meal prep, so um, I get the call for the salad. I do the salad, and right when I'm done, I happen to look to my left. Here you are, giving me your name and your number. I was like, wow, she beat me to it. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That was probably like the biggest blush I've ever had in life.
I still remember that, and that was pretty out of character for me too. But I guess I was feeling kind of bold that day. I don't know what was going on, but I just remember handing it to you, and then we just kind of look at each other and laugh, and then I walk back to the front, and you continue what you were doing.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that made my day for sure that day. And I wasted no time to reach out to you when I was leaving. And yeah, that was like the start of it for sure. But what's that what was that what's that like though? During your time at Bob Evans.
um, it was a lot for me just because I had so much going on in my life.
Hmm.
Um, you know, that I was trying to deal with. So honestly, my experience wasn't the best. And it just got to a point where I was like, I can't keep doing this, working these two jobs, trying to maintain my sobriety, being in toxic situations. And I chose to leave and just work one job. And then that job wasn't the best job either. And then I ended up finding the job at Chipotle and I became a kitchen manager. And that was really good for me and my mental health. And that's what I needed to do to help me, move forward. So that's what I decided to do. And I think I made the right choice. Absolutely.
Yeah. Bob is I mean, it's a cool spot, you know what I'm saying? It's very late. It's not I mean, it's busy sometimes, but it's not like Texas Roadhouse busy. You know what I'm saying? Like a Longhorn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it. It's small. Um, but it's a job for me. You know what I'm saying? I tolerate everybody. You know what I'm saying? I just do my job and I go home.
Right.
That's always been my motto. But is that the only reason why you left, or it was like something internal, like that you
Um,
just didn't care for certain people?
um, I'd rather not go into it.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. I got you. Obviously, everybody's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their flaws and still have things that they're working on to better themselves. Or something that you can say that you still struggle with to this day.
um, I still struggle with my mental health. And it's not all the time. It's not a constant thing, when I'm busy and I'm helping people and I'm working and I'm being around friends or family or I'm doing things, I feel really great. And most of the time I'm very grateful and I'm so happy to be here. And, life is good. Everything is working out in my favor. But I still struggle with being alone. All
Mm.
throughout my early 20s, I was always with someone and learning how to be alone and happy with yourself is really hard. And I've
Yeah,
definitely gotten better at it. I know that I don't need anyone. Like, I have a good job, I just got my own place, like, things are working out for me. So I know that I don't need anyone. So when I say being by myself, it's not that it's like without someone that's the problem. It's being in my mind by myself that's sometimes hard for me. Like once I go home and it's time to go to bed, and sometimes my mind just won't shut off at night. And I think about a lot of things from the past that I wish I could have done differently. And
Mhm.
I still struggle with that.
Would you say that you're an overthinker?
Absolutely. I have really bad anxiety. So like the way my brain works, it frustrates me sometimes because I feel like I wish my brain just worked like a normal person, like thought process wise. I just feel like I am such an overthinker, and my anxiety has a
Mhm.
big role in that. Someone could say something to me, and most people wouldn't think about it again. But me, I'm going to go home and I'm going to bring it with me, and I'm going to think about it until I drive myself crazy. And I'll think, why did I say that? Or why did they say that? Or what did they mean? And what is their intentions behind that? So I definitely overthink a lot of things to the point where I like get frustrated with myself.
I know that feeling for sure. Uh, like I said before, as far as like me wanting to accomplish my goals and you know, check those check those things off my list, and when they're not coming fast enough, that's when like those thoughts comes at
Yeah.
like when is it coming? Is it ever going to come? Are these dreams just dreams? Like what's going on here? But outside of that, you know, I have my ways of overthinking. Um, whether it's, for some reason I question people a lot as far as that's in my corner.
Right.
Um, like, do y'all really love me? Do y'all really
Yeah.
care about me? Do
Right.
you, not just them, like friends too, or like acquaintances or anybody that's in my life? I question a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's to the point where like I don't really care for words anymore. You have to show me.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Um, but what are some goals that you still strive for yourself?
Um, I just always strive to be better. I never want to be a person who is content. Um, I always want to strive to be better. So I'm always constantly setting goals for myself, just to, you know, do as much as I can and learn as much as I can and grow as a person.
Do you have any particular ones for this year, 2024?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I did a vision board with my job, on New Year's. And I wish I had it here to show you, but I don't have it. But I did a vision board for Selena's 2024, and it was a really special moment for me because I remember a few years ago when I was in my addiction, I was IVC'd to the hospital and I was on the psych unit, and was coming off of these drugs. And I just remember a nurse sitting in the room with me, and she did a vision board with me. And I remember looking back now, everything that I made for that vision board, I accomplished. So it was just so amazing. So this year for my vision board, I made one, and the things that I put on it were to get my own place, which I've done,
Hmm.
um, my job to grow, learn, and I took a new position, so that happened for me. And another thing that I put on my vision board was just to be the best version of myself, like confidence wise. That's
Hmm.
something I still struggle with, from getting clean to, I sometimes feel like I can walk into a room and other people, even if they don't know me in my past, I feel like I I feel low about myself sometimes, like, oh, they're just gonna look at me and they're gonna know, you know. And although that's not the case, because most people that meet me are like, you know, they're so nice and they're like, oh wow, you know, you I would have never known if you wouldn't have told me. But I struggle with that sometimes still. So I put that on my vision board, was just to be more confident with myself. Um, and then lastly, I put love. Because I'm like a hopeless romantic, and I don't care what anyone says. Everyone wants to be loved. Um, you know,
Mm.
so I put love on my on my vision board, and I've got all of the things, most of them accomplished, but I'm still working on the love thing.
Oh yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Certain things, especially like that, takes time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And very sure someone was out there for you, the right one, not just anyone.
yeah,
Um, for me personally, um, one thing that I try my best to do better of is appreciating um the moment and appreciating how far I've come versus always dreading where I want to be.
right.
Um, that's how I've always been. That's always been my focus, especially after my dad passing. I feel like for most of my life, I've always felt like I need to chase after something in
Hmm.
order to feel like I'm doing something with myself or fulfill that void of feeling like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm
Right.
constantly on the go. Like, okay, I did this. Boom. What's next? Okay, I achieved this. Okay, cool. Boom. What's next? Like I have to feel like, you know what I'm saying, not really appreciating that milestone that I did. Like graduating college. Not many people can do say that they did, but I did. Appreciate yourself.
Absolutely.
Celebrate yourself. Um, you have two jobs. Not many people have one. Appreciate yourself.
Yeah,
Do that.
this that
You know what I'm
gratitude.
saying? Yeah, so like that's something that I'm trying to do more of is giving myself more grace and appreciation. Um, but outside of that, as far as like goals for this year, I only have like two main goals this year, and I've already achieved one, which is getting my passport.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I got that like 2 weeks ago. Um, which was crazy because I literally just got done with like the whole application process, and I was supposed to get it in like April, and I got it literally not a month later. So that was kind of wild. Wasn't expecting that, but my second one is I've always dreamt of going to New York for New Year's
Hmm.
and seeing the ball drop, or at least just being in the vicinity of that occasion. Like I grew up watching it on TV every single year. And for as long as I can remember, I've always told myself, like, oh, that's going to be me one day, being in that crowd or at least being in that area. And this year is going to be the year. I'm going to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What are some what are some life lessons that you feel like you've learned so far in your life?
Um, to not put your happiness into a person, because that's just not feasible, realistic, or even fair to the other person. I used
Hmm.
to feel like I wasn't happy with myself, so I needed to find someone to complete me. And that's just not the case. You need to be happy with yourself, and then someone else is happy, and then you guys come together and just make each other happy, and
Yeah.
it's just a bonus to each other's life. But I've definitely learned over the years that you can put your happiness into a person because that's just not reality. You need to be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
Um, Another life lesson would probably be I can be very trusting. I'm a very open person. I've been through a lot and I don't judge other people. And
Hmm.
I find it sometimes I trust others too easily. And it
Hmm.
leads to me being hurt by giving people too many chances in my life.
Those are some really, really good ones that I definitely am up there with as far as agreements. For me, just never forcing people to be in your life.
That's a good
You know what
one.
I'm saying? Because you just can't, you know what I'm saying? If someone genuinely, rocks with you, they'll make it more of an effort.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
whether that's, a potential partner, friends, family, just anyone in life. And um, just becoming more open-minded with certain things. Because for me, growing up, I don't know why I've always had that, perspective. Like what I say is right, how I think is right, and you're wrong. Like
Yeah.
that's just what it is. Maybe that's just that Virgo in me. I don't know. Um, I don't know, but I've grown to know that like you're not always right. There's always more room to grow and learn certain things.
Right. That's a good one.
And yeah, and just like becoming open-minded and seeing things through other people's perspectives without it being like an argument or a fight. Like just see different things and become more I don't know, open-minded towards things. That's why I want to travel, see different things.
Yeah.
Um, so that's out there for me for sure. You got any others?
About life lessons.
Yeah.
Um, Not that I can think of right now off the top of my head.
Yeah. I had one, but it just like went away. But what would you say so far in your life is like your proudest accomplishment?
Um, Honestly, getting clean, and living to see, like, I'm entering this year, I'm going to be 26 years old, and I've got my own place and I have a good job. And I just remember I never really could imagine life past a certain age. Like, I thought my early
Hmm.
20s were so hard. I thought ultimately, like, I was just not going to make it. So honestly, getting clean and growing older, it's scary, but it's definitely a huge accomplishment for me because it's something that I never thought that I could do.
Hmm.
I never thought I could, get clean and live a normal life and work a job and, a good job and have my own place and be self-sufficient. So the fact that I've been able to turn this stuff into reality for me is just, it's a huge accomplishment.
Definitely, definitely a huge accomplishment. And for me, obviously graduating college, like that's like it's kind of huge.
Yeah.
Um, as far as I know, I'm like the second person in my family to actually finish college with an actual degree,
Wow.
which is like pretty cool because I come from like a military family, so it's
Hmm.
like that's all I know. And I've always wanted to be different and be my own
Right.
person. So I decided to go for what I go for, and I would say that that's my proudest accomplishment. Finally stepping up and actually going for it because broadcasting has been something I've been wanting to do since I was maybe 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. But it was during the time in my life where I was 1000% shy. I cared a lot about what people thought and said about me. And a quiet, shy kid going for something like that, you know, especially coming from where I come from, like that's not possible, like at all. So,
Yeah.
um, I always pushed it away and just live life just carelessly, not really having a plan for real, and using my shyness or using that insecurity, not going after what I want. So high school comes, I was just one of those kids that just came to see my friends and just, you know, did whatever and just like was content with the grades that I got. And um my dad passed my junior year, like my fall semester of junior year. And I was just like done with life at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like again, my Superman is gone. I didn't appreciate him while he was here, so now I'm feeling shitty about myself, about life. Don't want to be here. And, you know, months later, that's when my little brother is born. You know what I'm saying? Literally
Well,
9 months later. So like, I think I told you the story behind that, right?
yeah.
Okay. And you know, I lose someone, but at the same time I gain someone. So I
Yeah.
guess that's just like God's
It's like
way
it
of
was
like,
a God, like your dad sent him there to be with you.
yeah, in a way. But so like my brother being born, that kind of like rejuvenated that that love to, do something with myself. So that's when like okay, that light bulb came, like, okay, I gotta do something with myself. But I had messed around so bad in high school to the point where like my GPA didn't meet the requirements of
Hmm.
certain schools that I really wanted to go to. So I was able to get to a school that was able to accept me, but they didn't have broadcasting. They had sports management. But at that point, I was just ready to go. I've always been a person that wanted to leave my hometown and do something with myself. So I kind of used that school as like a getaway
Hmm.
and just to say that I'm doing something with myself. So I went with sports management, didn't really care for it, didn't care for any jobs within that field, but I just wanted to get away. You know what I'm saying? Live that life. You know, my fall semester freshman year in college was pretty crazy. Ain't gonna lie. It's kind of like similar to you, back in those days. You know what I'm saying? I didn't smoke, I didn't drink though, but I was just out in the crowd, you know what I mean? Just observing everybody, just trying to be something I wasn't for real, you know.
Yeah.
And then once that party phase just like slowly dwindled, my sophomore year, that's when it kind of hit me like, what am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really happy like that for real. And so like my sophomore year, that's when I had my own apartment. It was kind of like a four-person complex
Hmm.
where obviously we all share the same living room, kitchen area, but we have our own room. So on one end, it's two football players, and then on my end, the guy beside me was in a fraternity.
Hmm.
So literally every weekend, it was some type of get together. It annoyed me, you know what I'm saying? And that was the vibe every weekend. But on this particular Saturday, it was quiet. Like nobody was there. Like everybody was out doing whatever. So like I took advantage of that and turned my phone off, turned my TV off, turned my game off, and just enjoyed that peace. And within that peace, that's when those questions came back like, Kendra, what are you doing here? And that's when I was up against the wall and I was like, okay, do I let 5, 10, 15, 20 years of my life go by? And I look back and I'm just like, what if I would have did that and just live the life that I do at that time? Or do I continue, or do I finally step up and go after this goal that I've always wanted now? And even if it doesn't work out, I can look back and say I tried it. And that's the decision that I made, to finally go for it while I'm young. And that's what I decided to do. And I knew the first step into that goal is to transfer because obviously the school didn't have broadcasting there. And I talked to my mom about it. She was okay with it. But the only thing is, like, I have to stay in North Carolina. And if it was up to me, I would, God knows where I'll be at right now. Because I was ready to go because, like I said, I use that school as a getaway anyway. So I went on my laptop and just searched North Carolina colleges. And uh, it took me a while to find the right one because, like I said, my GPA wasn't the best. And so um, I just knew not to go to certain colleges. I just knew not to do that because if I did, that would definitely put me in a depressed state. Um, so it took me a while. I was like on like 4 pages of like schools and almost giving up and just saying, whatever. Then I came across, Wingate, and I was like, what is this? Never heard of it. I'm not even gonna attempt to, but at that point I was desperate. And so it was three checks for me that made me say, okay, I'm going here. Number one, obviously my GPA matched, which was like a blessing. Because before that it was like 10 schools that didn't, I didn't match that requirement. And I matched the GPA that had broadcasting. And the third one was the fact that they were, the city, I mean, the town was like 30, 40 minutes from Charlotte. And for me, I've always wanted to go to Charlotte. I've always wanted to live in Charlotte. And before that point, I never was in Charlotte. And I was like, check, check, check. I'm going here. So um, I applied there. And I remember getting the acceptance letter or the email. And I was going on my way to my first period class of my fall semester. It was at 8 a.m. I hated 8 a.m.s. And what made it worse was that the class was on one end and my room was on the other. So that was tough. But I remember getting the acceptance letter, the email. I was on my way to my seat and I got it. And I looked, I was scared to look because I was afraid they was gonna not accept me. And I looked and they did. And I cried. And I was like, here we go.
Amazing.
We're on the road to this journey. So and that was what, 2017? And I started in 2018 of that fall semester. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride since. So that's what kind of prompted me to have my YouTube because obviously, broadcasting, you have to talk. Um, and that's what kind of made me do this channel and getting comfortable talking in front of people in the front of a camera and how to convey yourself and stuff like that. So I would say that was my proudest accomplishment going after this goal. That was a long explanation, but
That's okay.
yeah. But um let's get back to you though. Like I told you before going back to like relationships and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So like how many would you say that you've been in, like as far as like guys before? Like you mentioned two, but like is that all of it?
So to me, there is a big difference in relationships, talking, situationships.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into my first relationship until I was 19 years old. We dated for 3 years, left that relationship, hopped right into another one, and that's when I met my ex, and we dated for 2 years. Um, so serious wise, two I've been in two relationships long term. And then of course, since getting out of that, I've talked to other people, but I haven't really dated. I've had situationships, but I haven't really been in another serious relationship, dated. I've talked to people. I've caught feelings for people, things didn't work out. But relationship wise, I've only been into long term.
Okay. I want you to guess how many I've had.
Um,
Like serious.
well, I don't want, I don't know because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
No, you're good.
Two,
Nah, one.
one.
Yeah. And that was my last one. And even that one was like tough. Um, the other ones definitely, eh, I mean, I count it, but most people don't. It's like one of those situations where like most of them were like school, or like we only see each other at school. Like
Right.
that's not really a relationship for real. That's like a little thing. But I count it. And so if you count them all as far as like situationships or in my real one, that's 10. That's nine.
Hmm.
Um, and me personally, I would like my 10th to be my last. Because I don't know how many talking stages I have left in me. It's been it's
I
it's
felt
it's
that. I
it's,
felt
it's
that.
yeah, it's been tough for sure. Like uh you're not supposed to get used to it, but I am as far as like being ghosted.
Hmm.
Um I don't I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. Do I like am I just like too because I can be not direct, but like I'm one of those people where like I know what I want. Like I
Hmm.
just let you know ahead of time. Like this is boom, 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 boom. So that way nothing is misconstrued. I'm communication with you. I'm communicative with you. I told you how I felt and my intentions and I don't know. I don't know if that like scares people or what. Is that something that you look for though?
What?
As far as like someone that you know up front, like this is how I feel, boom, boom, boom.
Um,
Um,
I have dealt with a lot of dishonesty from people. I am very straightforward, like how I'm feeling. This is, what's going on. But I think sometimes that I come off too strong. And some people are not ready for that, or they're intimidated by that, or
mhm,
they or are just really not honest about their intentions with me. So ideally, yeah, I would prefer to be with someone who is more straightforward. But it seems like these days, people get themselves into situationships, and then one person catches feelings, and the other one is not really being honest, or and it tends to end bad or messy, or you guys ghost each other. So yeah,
yeah,
really straightforwardness is so important.
yeah. Can you share a story with me as far as like a situation that happened where, you had feelings with someone and you had plans and it just didn't work out?
Um, this is bad, but I've had a few of those. And I wouldn't say they were relationships, but they were situations where I was talking to someone, it was leading to that.
Hmm.
And it definitely didn't go as expected, and it hurt my feelings a lot. um, the last one would probably be I was talking to someone going on like 6 months. We
Hmm.
were in a situation, but we were established that it was not a relationship. And I was trying to be that cool, respectful, I don't want to be the girl that's like, what are we? I'm pushy. So I'm trying to give them understanding and, I was just really enjoying our time with one another. We talked for like 6 months, and then it just kind of got to a point where I just didn't feel like a priority in their life. And I kind of realized that
Hmm.
I deserve more from someone.
Hmm.
And it was hard to separate myself from that person because I really cared about them a lot. We had a lot of things in common, and I actually prayed about it, and I said my mind was really messed up and I just couldn't think straight. I couldn't focus on me and what I needed to do because I was so worried about the situation that I was in. And I prayed about it and I said, God, if this isn't for me, send me a sign, let me know, remove them from my life. And that's just what he did. Like, we kind of fell off talking. They didn't reach out to me, so I didn't reach back out to them. And we just kind of stopped talking to one another and we didn't see each other. And they always come back. They'll serve. So it's like I didn't reach out to them, they didn't reach out to me, and then weeks later they, reach out to me, but I felt so at a point in my life where I'm like, I deserve more than that. So I'm good on that. And even as much
Yeah.
as I wanted to, talk to them, I just realized that they weren't my person as much as I wanted them to be. They just weren't. They weren't. So that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's something that, you fight that urge, you know what I'm saying? And you want to see where it can go with certain someone,
Yeah.
but it's just like their actions don't match their words.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I
So
don't
are
know
you
about
in
that
any
one.
situations right now, Kendrick?
What do you mean, like situation? Like,
Like,
am I talking to someone right now
yes.
leading up to,
Yes.
um, I personally like, I'll tell you when we get off. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
okay.
Like
Uh,
I'm the type of person, like I'm a very private person.
Oh,
You
that's
know what I
okay.
mean? Yeah,
That's
like
okay.
yeah, yeah. You kind of caught me off guard with that one, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Nah, I remember a situation where this happened like September-ish, October. I was talking to someone that lived in Charlotte, and you know, we met on the app, like a dating app, and there was interest, supposed interest from her end, and we talked and so on and so forth, and the conversation went, um, you know, have you ever been to Carowinds in
I
Charlotte?
have not, no.
Do you know what it is though, right?
Yeah, I know
It's
what
like
it
a
is.
Yeah, so like every Halloween they have this like theme thing for Carowinds called Scarowinds.
Uh-huh.
And I've always wanted to go. And I don't remember how the conversation went, but it was mentioned in the chat. And I was telling her that I've always wanted to go. And she told me that she always goes every year. And I was like, bet. And what's crazy is like days later, my sister hit me up about going to Charlotte for her birthday to celebrate.
Yeah.
And her birthday happens to be October 30th.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, how? That's kind of crazy
Yeah.
how that went.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's kind of like my excuse to go there and see her, meet her, see where that could go. Um, so I was like, yeah, sis, I'll go. And I told her about it. She seemed excited about it, and I went ahead and bought my ticket for it and everything. And everything was a go. So, and that was like towards the end of September. So we had like a whole month. So it's time to go to Charlotte for it. And I text her that I'm on my way. And supposedly, you know, she had gotten sick and um she was gonna rest for a while, but she told me like hit her up once I touch down and get to myself together in my hotel. And I was like, okay, cool, bet. So I drive 3 hours and 30 minutes because that's how far Charlotte is from here. And I get there because that was on a I got there maybe on a Friday. Um, spend that whole weekend there, come home Sunday, and get there, texted her, took forever to respond back. You know what I'm saying? Because like I know everybody's different. Everybody take naps differently and stuff like that, but it don't take you 7 hours to take a nap.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It don't take you 7 hours to take a nap. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you knew someone is coming to see you.
Yeah.
So um like it's like one of those things where like you send someone a message or a snap or any type of DM. Like I know it got delivered. It doesn't have you don't have to actually look at it to see it. Like you know what I mean? Um so um because with scare wins, you like it's a certain time frame that you have to be there. And like time is ticking, ticking, ticking. And there's the time frame that we had was coming up. So I'm just like hitting her up, hitting her up, hitting her up, and I get nothing. And um unfortunately for me, my money wasn't the way that I wanted to be, and I couldn't go because just off the rip, just parking was like 30 and I didn't have that. So I didn't see a point even going. I can't even park. So nonetheless, just for food and stuff like that. So I was literally stuck in the hospital, in the hotel room,
Oh no.
looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Um, because my sister and them didn't come until that Saturday. So I'm in a hotel room by myself, in Charlotte, looking crazy. And she didn't get back with me until literally that Saturday morning. And if you truly have, I guess, feelings or have interest in someone, you would, if something doesn't work out, like, okay, cool, you try to find another time to meet up
Right.
and have like a makeup day. I didn't get that. So that let me know everything I needed to know. And I remember posting something on Snapchat. She looked at it and I still didn't get a response back. So that again, that kind of let me know what I needed. And I deleted her off everything. You know what I'm saying? Because I had her on Instagram, Snapchat, and I had a number. I deleted everything. Kind of wasted my time there. So that was interesting.
That's shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. But what are some qualities that you look for in a potential partner? Like what's your
Uh,
top five?
I'm just gonna say off rip, I have terrible taste in people. Um, like I've allowed a lot of things over the years, like that I shouldn't have put up with because I like someone and I can look past a lot and I'll talk to these people and in my head I know that it's kind of not going to work out, but part of me wants it to work out. But
Hmm.
ideally, some things that I would look for in a partner is I have to have I have to be with someone who is open-minded because of my past and everything like that. I have to be with someone who is open-minded and understanding,
Hmm.
and not only that, I would I would really like I believe in God and that's important to me and I would really prefer the person that I'm with. I don't push my religion on anybody, of course, but ideally if this is going to be someone I'm with long term, I would like for us to have the same faith um and understanding on things, same values, morals,
Yeah.
Um, but I just really would appreciate someone who is honest with me and straightforward. I feel like I try to be as honest and straightforward with somebody as I can be. So I would really appreciate that, in return. But a lot of times, you don't, if, um, but those are just some of the top few. And
Mm.
that I feel like I would want in a person. And yeah.
No, I got you. Like my top, just off rip, like my top three for sure is just trust, honesty, and communication.
Yeah,
Those
communication
those are my
is a big one because for me, I understand that everyone has different schedules, has life. Life is hard, everyone's busy, work, all of the things. I am understanding and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need you to text me 24/7, but a
mm,
simple message that takes 2 seconds to say, hey, I'm busy, I'll talk to you later, really goes a long way. The saying, if they
yeah.
wanted to, they would.
Hmm.
People will find time for who they want to find time for in their life, regardless of how busy they are. So communication is huge. Like I've dealt with people in my past who just really couldn't communicate. It was like talking to a wall, and you
Hmm.
couldn't even express the fact of their actions were making you feel because they could not communicate. They were emotionally immature. So moving forward, I would really hope to be with someone who can communicate. It's the little things like that to me that are really so important because in the grand scheme of things, they're not little things, they're big things. If you're going to be with someone long term, you guys need to know how to have that communication with one another.
Yeah. And like communication for me is like massive for me because like you said, I understand like everybody has their own thing, everybody has their own schedules and stuff like that. But I am a huge believer in um nobody's ever that busy though. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have time, just like, you know, pick up your phone that you already have in your hand and just like send like a solid text to me. Like
Yeah.
that's much appreciative. Like even if you're going out with your friends or stuff like that, like I understand, do your thing, go out. But like text me, oh, I'm doing this, talk to you later, boom, boom, boom. That's good for me. And that's like that
Right.
calms me down. Um, that lets me know that you're okay. So that's something that I've had back and forth with certain talking stages, you know what I'm saying? I've had people to stop talking to me because of that. Um, which I don't understand that. But um yeah, those are like my top three for sure. Um, Other qualities. I mean, you don't have to watch sports, but it's a plus because of my field. Um,
Yeah.
that would be nice to have a partner that I can talk sports with, or even someone that don't care for sports at all, but at the same time, for your love for me, you will sit there and watch. That that
Yeah.
that's so cool for me.
That's
And
understandable because like for me, another thing is like finding someone with similar background, like who is on the same path that I'm living. Like I met someone who is also in recovery and we have a lot in common and they're doing really well for themselves now. So to be able to share that with one another and talk about our past experiences and where we are now and how we're feeling is huge for me because I feel like a lot of times people don't understand what I've been through. So it's hard to open up and talk to them. So, like, being with someone or talking to someone who does understand is huge because you don't want to feel like, you're alone.
yeah, that's definitely understandable. Um, I mean, I have my times too where I feel like that. Um, where you start to question, is there even anybody out there for you? Um, or feeling like you're never achieved that dream. Like for me personally, as far as like having that fairy tale ending, wife, kids, and so on and so forth. Uh, oh, that's definitely something too. Like that's kind of like I should have said that number one. Like someone that wants kids, because if you don't, I don't see a point of us talking.
Right.
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
mean, I definitely one day want to like settle down and get married. I would hope to have a kid, or kids, but also I trust God and I know whatever is meant for me will work out. I've had
yeah,
the, question of what if I can't have kids one day. But I know that if it's meant for me, that it will happen. And also at the same time, I don't feel like as a woman, some women are like, oh my God, I want to have kids and, do this and that. Well, although I would like the option, I don't feel like as a woman that that's my sole purpose in life is to have
mhm,
kids. Like
yeah,
I want to, experience life and all of these things. And I know that if it's for me, and I would like the option, of course, but if it's for me, I know that it will happen.
yeah, definitely. This may be a weird question because I asked one of my friends this. Um, Now I want to hear it from like a female's perspective. What are your, I guess, top top three, top five most attractive like complexions like of men for you? Like
What do
everybody
you mean?
has their like complexions of men, like different races or like
Okay,
ethnicities.
so for me, I do not discriminate. For one, okay, so this is another random thing about me. Anyone that I've ever been with has never been the same. Whether they're black, whether they're white, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're short, whether they're tall, whether they're skinny, whether they're bigger. Um, Anyone that I have ever been with has never been the same. So I don't go after a specific thing. Like I feel like I'm the type of person I can love anyone regardless of
Mm,
all of the little petty things. Um, and to me, although like obviously attraction is important to some degree, the way that I like am is I can meet someone and not immediately be like, oh my gosh, like attracted to them. But the more that I get to know them, I will become attracted to them. Like,
yeah,
I don't have a type per se at all. Like, anyone I've ever been with has never been the same. So there's not a specific look that I go after.
Right. I mean, I can be the same. I think, you know, I mean, obviously someone's um beauty attracts me as far as how they look, but I also focus on just how they carry themselves as people and just their outlooks on life. And if it matches up with mine, okay, we can do something here. Um, but definitely, um, I mean, I guess you can say I have mine as far as like certain types that I like, but all in all, it's about how you carry yourself really, and just like
Right.
um, if you match up with my list of things that turns me on or not, something that do like as far as like turn offs and stuff like that. So it's all about what you're really into for real. But like my last question to you is this. What is what has been your favorite place to travel to, and what's somewhere that you want always wanted to go?
I honestly haven't done a lot of traveling. Being in addiction really hinders your abilities to go anywhere and do much.
Yeah.
But now that I'm not in my addiction anymore, my dad is from Mexico and I have family down there, and I've always wanted to go and see that side. So I hope one day to visit.
Well, I hope you do. Um, and many more places for sure. I highly recommend you getting your passport. Um, just something to have. It's good to have. And I wish you the best with everything else.
Thank you.
How did you enjoy, this conversation?
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long time since I talked to you, so I figured to just hit you up for this. So
Yeah.
yeah. So before we go, what's your social where people can follow you?
So I actually make TikToks, not a lot, but I kind of document my journey with recovery. Um, and then I post on my Facebook page sometimes. I'm not really active on Snapchat or Instagram. I don't use those really. But my TikTok is, I believe it's my first and middle name, which would be Selena, and it's with two A's. And then my middle name is Marisol, and that you spell that Marisol. And then my Facebook is just my name, Selena Duran.
Sounds good. Man, conversations with Kendrick. This is a good one, episode 8. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. And Selena, I really, really appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Kendrick.